Hello, everyone. This is Dan Gramza, and welcome to dangramza.com Market Studies for Monday, April 27th. If you haven't seen these charts or videos before, this is a daily chart. The concept is to identify swing trading opportunities. So that's what you're seeing between these red and green lines. If it's a dashed line like this green line, that means that was a buy signal that occurred earlier than today's action. If you go to dangramza.com, you will and go back to a couple weeks ago, April 7th, you can follow how these lines changed over time. If it's a solid line, that means that was something active today. So, just to give you a reference, the dollar difference between the buy and sell level here is $8,000 a contract. Between this buy and sell level, $8,050 a contract. We're seeing buyers holding on to positions as we go in to the weekend. That's bullish. So we have a bullish bias to this market, but be careful here. You don't want to see a big red candle next to that. That would be an equal and opposite, and that would be very bearish. The next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, you need to see follow through indeed if buyers are here. Now let's move on and let's look at some other markets. The NASDAQ market, dollar difference in these buy and sell levels. The latest one here, that's $17,320 a contract. This one is $14,920 a contract. And what are we looking for? The same situation. Follow through Monday and Tuesday, very important. The Dow is different. It's a neutral zone trade and it implies a sideways move. It did trade below its sell level. Dollar difference here in that market is $2,920 a contract. And below here, that dollar difference, again, just to give you a reference, $4,270 a contract. Let's move on and let's look at the Russell. Also, a different type of index, different components. It doesn't have the tech exposure that we saw in the S&P or the Russell, and it did trade below its sell level. I want to point out something to you that on the sell side, it just moved a little bit lower and this market popped back up. So it's trading above that sell level, which means that would be a losing position. The dollar difference here in that market, to give you that reference, $3,255 a contract. The dollar difference, I said 55, it's 50. $3,250 a contract. 3,500 is the dollar difference down here. So bullish bias, neutral zone trade. Very interesting. Now, what about currencies? Well, you can see here in the euro that the euro got stronger, the US dollar got weaker. Dollar difference sell to buy level in that market, $600 a contract. From this buy level to that sell level, that's $2,325 a contract. Can buyers return to these currencies? Look at the Swissy also got low enough to find buyers. Is that sellers just taking profit going into the weekend? Next week, we're going to find that answer. Dollar difference down here in that market, $712.50. Let's move on and take a look at Mr. Yen. This is a market that, let me get there. We go. Let me stretch that out a little bit for you. There we are. And what you're seeing here is a market that got cheap enough to find buyers. This is that equal and opposite that I was talking about in that market. dollar difference buy to sell level there, $362.50. Buyers are here. This is cheap for Japanese yen. Do they follow through? Aussie dollar, the dollar difference here in that market is $1,100 a contract. Again, bullish bias. Buyers showed up on Friday, but Monday and Tuesday is going to be very important for follow through. British pound dollar difference here is $800 a contract. And what do we look for? We do look for follow through to the upside, and that's going to be important in the next 3 days in this market that we close above this level of 35.98. And when it comes to the Canadian dollar, our friends up north, that's been kind of struggling a bit. Dollar difference here, $330 a contract. Again, bullish bias, non-symmetrical follow through. It implies an up day Monday and Tuesday. And when we look at Bitcoin, it traded below its sell level, but it closed above it. So it closed a losing as a losing position if someone's still holding on to it. Oh, dollar difference here. Buy the sell level in that market, $22,000 a contract. Dollar difference here, $3,675 a contract. In the 10-year note, it firmed up a bit. Prices firmed up a bit, which means that yields came down, and we do look for an up day on Monday and Tuesday. Same thing for Treasury bonds. We're looking for follow through to the upside. But what about gold? What a struggle. And it's related to the yields that we just saw in the 10-year notes and the 30-year bonds. It has a big impact on this market. Dollar difference sell to buy level, $800 a contract. And when we look at silver, also a market that wants to go higher, but the problem we've had with that is we haven't seen a commitment to follow through. And let me pull this up a little bit for you so you can see it all. There we go. Dollar difference buy to sell level here is $17,900 a contract. In copper, buy to sell level in that market is $5,000 a contract. It also wants to go higher. Be careful here. It does not have strong fundamentals to support higher prices in copper. Crude oil, well, that's kind of a subject of attention. And when we think about the Middle East and what's happening there in the Strait of Hormuz, but this does not imply strength. It implies a market that's somewhat getting used to what's been going on in that part of the world. It's fairly tame when we think about the geopolitical events and what we're seeing here for crude oil. Now, it did trade. Well, let's talk about a couple of them just so you get a feel for it. The dollar difference here from that sell to buy level is $1,570 a contract. The difference here between that buy to sell level is $5,010 a contract. And notice here, it traded below the sell level, but it closed above it. So that would be a losing position going into the weekend if someone's still short that market. But let's take a look at another market that's at the center of attention, and that's nat gas. Natural gas is cheap. The buy level here now has been moved lower to 258. Oh, the difference between the sell and buy level in that market, again, just to give you a reference, is $1,900 a contract. Well, agricultural markets, soybeans, look for a sideways move. $350 is this dollar difference there. And again, the sell side failed as it closed against that position. Corn working its way higher but slowing down. Be careful here on the long side. Wheat, the dollar difference here in that market between the buy and sell level here, $450 a contract. And what do we look for here? We're right where we found sellers before. Is this hedging? Monday and Tuesday will give us the answer to that. Well, those are my thoughts for today. Thank you for joining me. Look forward to being with you again. And as always, take care.